what I'm doing for Halloween yet either. I know my son, we always build something. So this year we're going to build he wants to build an Optimus Prime costume that will actually transform into a car. So it's actually got to be, it can't just be a normal thing. It's got to actually transform into a car. So he came to me with this idea for a design, which is pretty cool actually, what he came up with this PVC piping that, he would hold up and then push down, and then he could actually lay forward and be dragged around. We'll see.
I was going to say, you're not going to build the Death Star again, or?
No, we've built 2 R2-D2s. I think our droid building days are over.
That's great. I like his enthusiasm for Halloween. I was like, I'm just gonna put on this mask and walk around and get free candy, and I hated it. It wasn't fun.
Well, as an adult, we get you get invited to parties. Obviously, a bunch of friends have invited me to a party every year, and I honestly I can't be troubled with going through all the BS of getting a costume. So my fallback costume, I have the same shirt. I am the John Belushi character from Animal House, Blutarsky. I have the college T-shirt and he's got like a sort of like a flannel dress shirt and a pair of shorts, and I carry around the bottle of Jack Daniels. And other than the goatee and now the beard, I could sell that.
All right, is the volume going in and out for you guys?
No.
The guy got really loud, the volume, and then it really is quiet now.
No, I can hear you. You're sounding
fine.
Yep.
Yeah, everything's good here.
Okay, good. That must be on my end then. Fantastic. All right.
A little staticky, but nothing out of the
ordinary. I'll try to figure out. Man, what the hell? All right.
Technical difficulties have hit.
That's one of those days. That's all right. We got it. I can do it. I don't want to touch anything because you guys can hear yourselves fine, but I can't hear you at all. So, well, I can hear you, but.
Do you want to restart your computer?
Yeah, I'll come back in. You guys stay there.
Okay. And we're still live, so I'm sure we're going to talk about HBO 24/7.
Yeah.
And the rule changes. I mean, well, since we're doing the pre-show, we'll save that because I'm sure Ak is going to want to talk about it. But when does the Bruins rookie camp start? Does it start this weekend?
Started yesterday.
Okay.
Yesterday in Wilmington. I think they're flying out to Tennessee, either today or Monday. I think they only do it a few days in Boston, and then they're going to Tennessee. Big tournament with the Preds rookies and I think the Lightning rookies as well.
Okay.
So they got a little bit of a tournament thing they're doing now. It's sort of the evolution of it all, I guess. It started a few years ago when they played the Islanders rookies back when it was like Sagan and Niederreiter.
Yeah.
Feels like ancient history now, but
I think all the teams are doing it. I mean, I know that the Traverse City tournament that the Sabres are involved in, it's them. I think Florida, I believe Detroit. I don't know the fourth team. I think that's the lineup. I know the one I'm going to tomorrow in London is Toronto, Pittsburgh, Chicago, and Ottawa. So yeah, and they've done that. That those 4 teams have been together the last 3 years for their rookie tournament here. It's either in London or there was one in Oshawa a few years ago. So they stay in Ontario, and I guess it's convenient for all those teams. They know who they're going to play, and they have a structure, so it's a good thing.
Yeah, that was. I was surprised they were going to Tennessee, just because I feel like they could keep it very simple with like New York, maybe New York, New Jersey, and Boston. Just keep it really simple, but they're going to Tennessee, and I just got back from Nashville like 2 days ago. I was like, good timing, right?
So
awesome
how is Carrie Underwood? Oh, never mind. Just kidding. Ak, are you back?
I'm putting the right. I had to change the podcast. We have the wrong podcast right now in our feed, so no one's seeing us yet.
Oh, so it's yesterday's link.
But yeah, they'll see us in a second. I'm just pasting the right one in.
Okay.
And I'm probably gonna get headphones because for some reason
you're getting an echo.
Hearing you guys right, and it's got to be on my end.
Yeah, I almost hear a little bit of a delay. I can hear my voice like a second after I.
Oh, really?
Well,
okay,
I mean,
we're live now. That's good. So I'm going to tell people to refresh the blog.
The blog is refreshing.
Yeah, Nashville's a great city. I loved it.
Yeah, I've never been, but I heard it's pretty cool. And
yeah.
All is right with the world. It's got hockey. It's got music.
Yeah, from what Eck has told me over the years, it's I know he's gone to a lot of Preds games down there, and that it's a pretty good hockey experience for what's considered a non-traditional hockey market. But yeah, I think I'd like to go to see a game in Nashville and see some of the other things there as well.
The thing I loved about it was you're just walking around. There's just live music, like at all times of day. Like Tuesday at 2 p.m. Versus 8 p.m. It was just awesome. Great to see different acts and bands. And
it's not all country either. It's not.
Yeah. I mean, it's for the most part it seems like it's very country based, but there's just the diversity there between like the artists, from artist to artist is. One's better at working the crowd, the other one's better at,
Isn't that great?
Make music, it's funny to see the different performers for sure.
I love that stuff. The it's funny how you just like at one point during the show, like the girl will go around with a hat and just collect money, from everybody. That's like the way they make their money, and it's just it's funny because I told we had a girl singer in our band, and I said you never had to do that.
See, I'm glad you told me that, Doc. If I ever go to Nashville and somebody's carrying around a hat with money, I would be grabbing for it.
Oh yeah, no, just New Yorker you. All right, let me get my let me get another headphone real quick so I can hear you guys better. Right back.
Okay. Some invitations, and this is sort of minor news, but I don't know. I've been sort of expecting the Bruins to do some training camp invites. I know that a few teams. I know Phoenix invited former Sabre Jane a couple days ago, and the Leafs made a little bit of news. They invited Henrik Tallinder, former Sabre defenseman, in for a tryout. And Ty, I think Tallinder could make the Leafs as a seventh defenseman. But I'm sort of expecting the Bruins to do something. I mean, have you heard anything about any kind of training camp invites?
No. I mean, I was the Billy Leno one surprised me.
Yeah.
I thought for sure he'd end up in Philly or somewhere else. Like I didn't think Boston was a fit for him.
Yeah.
But now they have Gagne and they have Leno, and the thing. It's kind of surprising. Maybe it's just a market that's kind of thin on right shots right now. But that seemed to be like a point of emphasis for the team, and I think they're going to let it go with the young guys. That David Pastrnak, they're going to give him a chance to make the team. I wouldn't bank on it. He's a 170-pound 18-year-old. I don't know what you can really get out of him as an 18-year-old logging top 6 minutes, especially in Julien's system. So I mean, we'll see. But I think one of Leno and or Gagne are making the team. I wouldn't be surprised if both did, to be honest, because unless they can find a trade to free up cap space, they can't sign Riley Smith right now.
Yeah, they got to do that. All right. I'm sorry, guys. You're very quiet. So give me one more second. I just got to fix this.
Okay.
I apologize to everybody watching in the
we're stretching
chat room. Thank you for. Well, actually, we're talking hockey. It's all good. Keep going. 1 second. I'll have some headphones. We'll be right back.
Yeah. So do you think that the Bruins will end up sending Pastrnak back to Sweden for another year, or is there? I mean, I'm not sure because I know that with the Leafs, William Nylander, he has the option of going back to Modo, but he can because apparently he's not under some contractual agreement with an SHL team. He could play in the American Hockey League, he could play in junior, or he could go back to Sweden. So, I mean, where are their options with Pastrnak?
The plan there is that if it's not Boston, it's back to Sweden.
Okay.
He won't be in the AHL or anything this year. Same thing with Linus Arneson. If he doesn't make the Bruins, I don't think he will. He's a defenseman. They're loaded anyways.
Right. That's
the same sort of thing. He'll go back to Sweden. He won't go to the AHL. Despite being of age, I think he was drafted by a junior team 3 or 4 years ago. He never went, obviously, but because of that, he can't go to the AHL. It's some weird rule like that.
No, I've received conflicting info on this, so I have to nail it down. But I know that Nylander, if he goes back to Sweden, obviously his entry-level deal doesn't kick in, and if he plays for the Leafs, his entry-level deal does after 10 games. But if he goes to the American League, I wouldn't think that his deal kicks in because it's not NHL games. So if they thought that he was far enough along that he could potentially, play in the NHL this season, they might opt for the AHL. But I'm just thinking that they're going to send him back to Sweden, let him play in the SHL, let him play for Sweden in the World Juniors, and I'm sure probably the Bruins are thinking the same thing with their guy.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Pasternak got, that 9-game trial with the team, but I'd be very surprised if he stuck with it. I think they kind of learned from the whole Sagan thing in 2010 where he wasn't bad per se, but I don't think the Bruins had enough trust in him to give him the actual minutes he needed to be productive. And he was mainly playing fourth-line minutes his entire rookie season, and I don't want to say it hurt his growth because he's still a very talented player. But it really was it seemed like a waste of a year in terms of that regular season. Obviously, the playoffs helped. He had that strong showing in the first 2 games against Tampa Bay, which sort of helped keep their playoff hopes alive, I think. But at the end of the day, I don't know if that was a year they liked spending on him at that price.
Yeah. Yeah, and NHL teams, especially in the cap era, are going to have to think of the consequences of these players. If you start their entry-level deal, start the clock at 18 years old. I mean, first of all, it's the cost benefit of is the player ready at 18? Jeff Skinner was ready at 18 years old. He stepped in, he played well. I mean, he had the concussion problems that he's had, injury problems over the years. But, I mean, in general, he was ready as an 18-year-old, and he made the team and he played well. But most of these players aren't ready at 18 years old. You have to be a really special player to be ready at that young age. But in terms of the contract situation, most of these teams don't want to start the clock going at 18 because then the entry level is done at 21, and you're then paying a bridge contract at 21 or 22 years old, and then the guy is a UFA by 25. So it's, I don't know. I mean, I would think that these teams would maybe put a hold on the clock for a year or so.
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at that Buffalo with Grigorenko. I mean,
wow, yeah, but. The question is he actually 20 now? Because I've heard speculation since his draft year that he's actually older than he was, and that he's actually 23 or 24. Which, if that's the case, he's a bust. Because
you think so?
I mean, I have no confirmation of that, but there's been a pervasive rumor that he is not. He supposedly is 20 now. I've heard since he was 18 that he was actually 21 or 22, and that now.
They used to say the same thing about a lot of the Russian players. I remember when they came over.
Yeah, like Krutov was 29, and he's probably actually 40.
He's probably closer to 40. I know. I agree. All right, so we're gonna get going. I'm hearing you guys well enough. I'll be able to make this work.
Okay. All right. Friday, September the 12th.
Friday, September 12th. That's right. Heading to the city tonight. Going out for wife's birthday tonight. We're actually going to see, I know this is a band you like, Ty. I just remembered this. We're going to see Gaslight Anthem tonight.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. I'm seeing them Tuesday, actually, in Boston.
Are you really?
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, they're with Jimmy Eat World. They're on tour. That's who they're awesome. Playing with tonight.
Yeah, it's I know Against Me is the other band, which
yep.
Their singer used to be known as Tom Gable, now goes by Laura Jane Grace, dresses like a woman, went into this whole she talked a lot about how she grew up with these sort of transgender feelings and urges, and then she made the switch, or the switch I should say, but big move for an artist, I think, to do that, especially when they're so established in their career.
Oh my gosh, yes. What band is this? This is
Against Me. Yeah.
Against Me, first band. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
Usually I'm in the loop when it comes to music, and I'm like, I think I've passed the Mason-Dixon line when it comes to new bands, because the concerts that I went to this summer were all like throwback. Like Hall & Oates and Toto and Michael McDonald. Yeah, and like I wanted to go see Tom Petty and Steve Winwood, and then like I don't even know the bands that you were talking about, and
Well, I would not know Gaslight Anthem with the exception of the fact that Springsteen is an enormous Gaslight Anthem fan, and my wife is everything Springsteen, and we've been to about
that's another reason why, because I'm not.
I know we've been to about 20 Springsteen concerts, and once the singer from Gaslight Anthem came up on stage, and then a couple times Bruce has sat in with them in different shows. So then we started listening to Gaslight Anthem. They're really they're awesome. I mean, I loved it. I love their music. They're like Springsteen-esque to a degree, but like a much more modern, a little bit harder version.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you one musical thing I'm looking forward to. I just saw the preview for it on HBO that the Foo Fighters are doing a like an 8-part documentary series on HBO, like sort of traveling the country, going to record with different artists for their new album.
Oh,
I mean, everything from Carrie Underwood to Kiss.
Really?
Yeah, it looks really good. I think it's October 17th. It debuts on HBO, and I mean, I'm a big Foo Fighters fan, and I just think that that's going to be really interesting, and looking forward to seeing them for the first time when they tour again.
I've never seen
them live.
Have you seen them, Ty? I like them.
Foo Fighters? No, I have not. No, I haven't. I don't think.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen so many bands over the years now, it all kind of blurs together. Sometimes.
Yeah. They're. I definitely No, I'm really psyched. The new Gaslight Anthem album is awesome. It's a ton over the last 5 days. Is all I've been listening to all day long.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. We that album 59 Sound, I think, is still one of the best albums by any band.
Yeah.
That was the 2008 release. That came out my senior year of high school, and I remember we were just blaring that just all school year long. It was awesome. Last summer they played, because they're getting pretty big now. They played like a series of shows in small venues along the East Coast, and I was able to get tickets, and it was like Middle downstairs, 300 people. It was an awesome show. I loved it.
Yeah, that would be a fantastic place to see them. Oh my gosh, they're playing they're playing the Man Music Center, which is like our version of it's like it's an outdoor place. We have lawn seats tonight, so that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
I love doing the lawn as long as you get a nice night. And then next Friday is Pokemon Symphonic outdoor concert for me. We're going to see the Philadelphia Symphony is playing. Philadelphia Orchestra is playing it's the same venue we're going tonight to, outdoors again. But they're playing all the Pokemon songs from like not just the TV shows, but all the video games and all the Game Boy games and everything like that. And, oh my gosh, my son is a huge Pokemon, and so we hear this music all the time around here. Oh. So that's gonna be hilarious. I don't know,
I'm gonna have to check StubHub on that one, Ak.
Yeah, believe me, tickets are very much available for that show. I'll tell you that. It's like I went on the other day, and I'm like, my wife was freaking out because the 4 of us are going, and then our son's friend and his mom wanted, so I had to get 6 tickets, and I'm like, I think we're good. She's like, get lawn seats. I'm like, I don't want to get lawn seats for that one because if it rains, and you're with all those kids, that's a mess. So I'm like, so she's like, oh no, but you got to get something. I'm like, we're good. I got like 10th row tickets last week or whatever it was, so we're fine. Anyway, we'll start the show. We're going to talk rule changes today, and my theory on how and why they came out yesterday. I've got a good theory on this. I'll throw that to her as well.
Okay.
All right, so it's Friday, September 12th, and also we're going to get some of Ty's. I want to get some of Ty's picks for our. I don't know if we've seen what we've been doing, our most valuable, our most improved thing, Ty, but is
Did you send them the list? Otherwise,
yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that as we get going here. If I'll give you some easy ones. So.
Yeah, we got and plus we have the 24/7 stuff to talk about as well.
Oh yeah, that's all coming. That's all tied in Conspiracy Theory Friday. It's all part of it. All right, here we go.
All right.
Hello, Hockey World. It is Friday, September 12th. Is it? Shoot. It is Friday, September 12th. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. What is wrong with me? I've immediately panicked, and it's like it's not September 12th. Okay, let's try again. In 3, 2. Hello, Hockey World. It is Friday, September 12th, 2014.
I'm Michael Agello.
And I'm Ty Anderson.
And I'm Eklund, and you're watching the HockeyBuzzCast on HockeyBuzz.com. This is the podcast that we come to you every Monday through Friday to try to kind of keep you up to date on what's happening in a summer where almost nothing has happened. But we've managed to get to September 12th, and that's something. But yeah, no, we've had fun, and it's really starting to pick up. And yesterday, right after, of course, immediately after the show, what happens? We get off the air, and instantly I'm driving to get myself some iced teas because I was having a caffeine attack. I hadn't had caffeine all day. Went to go get some iced teas. I'm in the car and I get a call from Josh Rimmer. Did you just hear what happened? The NHL just released like 20 or so rule changes at 3 o'clock on a Thursday. How random of them, I thought. As I continued to drive along, I'm like, wow, okay, well, I guess we got something to talk about tomorrow. That was the first thing that came to my head. Like, awesome. We got something to talk about tomorrow. But then the second thing came to my head is the timing of this was peculiar because I honestly believe that had the NHL news with HBO 24/7 not broken, this would not have been announced yesterday. I think they planned on putting this out Monday. I have no. They would never do this on a Friday. This is Monday news. This is like get people ready. These are your new rule changes. This is not 3:30 on Thursday news. It's not like they're sitting immediately. Let's see. The best time to put this out would be. They've been sitting with this for a while, obviously. Let's wait till 3:30 on Thursday. Now, I think what happened is the HBO stuff and people on Twitter started freaking out about 24/7 not happening, and I think the NHL cleverly kind of threw a distraction tactic in our faces. And gave us all these rule changes. Mike?
That's plausible. I know that the reaction immediately,
it was bad. 24/7. That bad. Not 24/7. I want to talk to Ty about that too. But
to the point, that Liev Schreiber, who's the narrator of 24/7, posted on Twitter, was shocked that it was canceled and wonders if the NHL is going to do their own version of 24/7, which I think is probably the case. And just sending it out there, Liev Schreiber has been the voice of 24/7 since its inception. He does a great show on Showtime and Ray Donovan. He's a really good actor, but he does really great narration. If the NHL is going to continue this, I hope that they continue it with him. It would give it some continuity, and he's got he just does great at that. But I'm sure that until there is an announcement that the NHL is going to do their own version of this, and I would assume if they do, it's going to be tied in with NBC and with Sportsnet with their new contracts in Canada and the U.S. Until that happens, I think there will still be a little bit of a panic because it was very popular, even though it was maybe getting a little old because of the formula and it was happening every year, but I think there is still an appetite for that inside look at NHL teams.
Yeah, I want you to hear what you think about this whole thing, Ty. The 24. Before we get into the rule changes, we'll talk about the 24/7. Josh Rimmer, although he can't work a computer to save his life, was all over this yesterday, to and basically got he broke the news of this on the webcast, and then immediately broke the news again that having talked to his sources, that it was not a cancellation, so to speak. It was more of they couldn't come to an agreement on terms, and
right.
Terms could mean a lot of things, right? It could mean like we talked about yesterday. Are they afraid of is the NHL pulling back on some of the access, and is that messing up HBO? Is HBO not willing to put the money up? Because I don't know, and I tried really hard yesterday to find out what the NHL gets for this from HBO, because they're making money off this. So I don't know what that is. But let's just talk, all that aside, let's talk 24/7 and its merits and whether or not it should continue. Ty, what are your thoughts on 24/7?
Well, you look at the first few 24/7s, and I think they were amazing. I loved the one that focused on the Flyers and the Rangers. I thought those were two of the most interesting teams in the world. And even I liked the first one as well.
Yeah.
But last year, it got kind of boring. Let's be honest. It really became 24/7. The highlight was David Clarkson in the water bottle. That was the highlight.
Or the whole sham of the Dion Phaneuf signing. That was like,
or the toaster and Randy Carlyle.
It was very tame. It didn't have the same sort of energy that it had in past years, and I think a lot of that maybe came down to the teams were really restricting where the HBO cameras could go, which sort of defeated the whole purpose of 24/7. It became show us when we're doing well, but when we're doing bad, please get out of the room, which is not what the show is about.
Right. And isn't this the natural course of all reality TV? When you think about the initial reality shows, some of them were very good. Like Survivor's a good example. I'm not a reality show person, but like you said, the first season was amazing, and I've said it before. I said it yesterday that I wished that first season they could have filmed the entire thing before anyone saw one episode, because the first episode of 24/7 is one of the best hockey things you'll ever watch. Mm-hmm. And then immediately, you know that Boudreaux's like, oh man, I'm sitting there saying F this and F that with my hands down my pants, and everything changed. It was like everyone's like, whoa, okay, they are putting everything out there, and that's bad. And you know what I mean? It kind of, and over time, there's been like a definite desensitization to where it's become like more shocky to me. Like, okay, we heard Claude Giroux say F this, and it's like that becomes the thing. And I really think it has lost. I feel like it had lost it. And I was saying yesterday when we didn't know what was going on that if I was the NHL, I would think about pulling it. Actually, I think it might have had its run. I mean. Mm-hmm. Ty, what do you think?
I mean, look what it does to certain players' public images. I mean, you talk about Briz, and how he came off like a weirdo.
It killed his career. He did.
Yeah, and you look at people see how Ovechkin was, in the first one where he's packing a PlayStation instead of packing clothes.
Yeah.
And everyone goes, oh, he's lazy, he's this, he's immature. So I mean, I think it does wonders for guys, but also hurts guys. And I think the players sort of became aware of that, and they've sort of started giving more formulaic answers that you get at press conferences, which is, I mean, puts everyone to sleep.
And they learn to game it like anything. You just naturally game the system as a they learn the things that are going to get on 24/7, the things that aren't going to get on 24/7, the kind of stuff. I mean, it killed Brizgalov's career. Boudreaux, it saved his career because, in my opinion, Boudreaux would have been fired in that long losing streak that the Capitals had the whole world not been watching the fact that his team was nuts and he was fine. We saw that you never would see that otherwise. You would have Cap fans would have been all over it. Oh, Boudreaux, should be out of there. They've lost 10 games in a row, whatever it was, But then, watching it, you realized Boudreaux they couldn't get any of these idiots to listen to him.
Yeah. I mean, it helped. It helped a guy like Dan Bylsma. It exposed Dan Bylsma for being more of a I don't know if a rah coach, but more of a player's coach. But you have to take into consideration last year. You had the Maple Leafs, who are constantly under. It's always 24/7 with the Leafs. They always have the media attention of Toronto and the four newspapers and the cable networks and everything. So they're sort of used to it, and there really wasn't anything there. Great. Dion Phaneuf and Phil Kessel are playing ping pong. Who cares?
I mean,
up until one of the last episodes, like I said, they showed Elisha Cuthbert Phaneuf more than they did Phil Kessel and Tyler Bozak. So and you had two veteran coaches who I don't think wanted to be participants in this, and they were sort of forced into it. And that goes to what Ty said about Babcock kicked them out of the locker room, and those moments were the moments that we saw in the first few years that everybody liked, that everybody was like, oh my God, Bruce Boudreaux is dropping an F-bomb every 5 seconds and he's ripping his team a new a-hole. But Carlisle, the only way they got Carlisle speaking the way he normally would speak was having the camera outside of the room with the microphone and then picking it up sort of surreptitiously. So, yeah, I mean, if the teams, if they're going to give access, if this is going to continue, and now the thing is, if this continues with Sportsnet, with NBC, it's going to be with organizations that have contracts with them, or it's going to be done by the NHL itself where they can manage the message. You're not going to get something revelatory from these shows.
And these individual team ones are better in some ways, like the Montreal one, the Edmonton one, because they're the people who are around the team all the time, and they really have a better feel for it. Like when I said yesterday, when I was contacted by HBO when they came to do the Philly-Boston one, because they wanted to know who they should be talking to. They said, who should we be? They came to a lot of the media people and said, because they didn't know, and I recommended they talk to Briere and, and but they obviously hooked on a Briz. They played that story. But yeah, and like I said yesterday too, the whole cursing thing. There's something about that still that I don't like. I mean, as much as we've all played hockey, we know it goes on. It's like when you can't let your son watch it and he's a huge hockey fan, he can't watch it. That's something about that wasn't necessarily necessary. They finally, I think, during the Flyers season did like a cleaner version too that you could download, which was smart because they were there's certain like a fourth wall there that matters really a lot to kids. it ended the sport. That. So I'm not gonna mourn for the loss 24/7, but a lot of people definitely freaked out. I mean, there are some great moments, and I was talking to a player last night about this, and he said his favorite moment, and I forgot about this one, was that during that Capitals one where the demise went on, and they actually had the cameras were outside the room, but there was like a microphone that caught Mike Knuble, remember, going at the team, and it was one of like the turning points. Knuble stood up and basically had like this rah-rah speech, and no one was in the room, but they caught it on just a microphone, and it was funny because it was the kind of thing at the time I was saying to myself, I know Mike Knuble's in there, I know Mike Knuble, and I know that he is the one who's saying stuff, but why aren't we seeing that? I know he's not sitting there silently as this losing streak goes on. So yeah, there were some good moments there. I mean, will you miss it, Ty? I mean,
I'd miss it if Tortorella was involved.
Yeah.
He was a fun guy to watch. No, I think because these teams are doing their own versions. Montreal has one, which is awesome. The Bruins have one, Behind the B, which the second season actually starts next week.
Okay.
So they got renewed for that. And the Oilers won't be doing oil changes here, they said, which they should focus on the hockey team more.
I would say yes, that's a good idea.
And so I mean, I think you're going to start seeing teams do more of these. I know that NBC Sports does the NHL Revealed, which is always pretty interesting. It has many storylines packed into 1 hour-long episode, but it is interesting, and it's a pretty good thing to watch. So I think, the NHL and NBC and the teams now, they have their own sort of version of 24/7, even if it may be watered down a bit or more family-oriented or team-friendly. So I think you'll have that access and you'll have it. So I don't think you'll miss it nearly as much as people seem to think you will.
Yeah, people. I mean, it was very important when the first one came out. That the timing of it was very important. We just got out of missing a season and the whole 9 yards. It meant a lot at that point. There was definitely. I mean, that was a big part. That and the Winter Classic, I thought, were huge. Huge things as far as the way this all played out. But yeah, I think that this is. I think it's okay. Mike, your thoughts?
Yeah, and I think part of this is the NHL controlling the message. The NHL, because honestly, I think I know that there was an agreement between HBO, and I don't know all the particulars of the agreement, but if HBO saw something in one of these shows that what they thought was something that would make it very interesting, they were going to go with it. They didn't want to burn their partners, but if there was something like Brizgalov making a fool of himself,
yeah,
they're going to go with it because it's good. It's good television. I mean, but it's
the crazy thing is this, Mike. Like talking to players, they actually said HBO was really cool about that kind of stuff and did talk to them before they put things out there, and they actually did talk to Brizgalov, and Brizgalov was fine with what went out. That they were pretty good. They were very respectful. I mean, I never had a player once say anything bad about them. That they always would say, yeah, they've been really respectful. They get it. The players got how it was good for the game for them to be seen. There was stuff but it was always a strange thing for the NHL to do, knowing the NHL the way they are.
Right.
It was always it was very counterintuitive to how they've always liked to control the message, and this was something that they definitely. I mean, I'm still very curious as to whether or not there was like a final edit that they got to see. There's certain things I wonder about still that we'll probably never know.
Well, I mean, and the one thing, and I keep coming back to it. The one thing that was a lot of people had a problem with when it happened in the Toronto-Detroit in the last 24/7 was the hearing on Dion Phaneuf. Now, was it the team? Was it the league that didn't want the cameras in there because it's a process? I mean, honestly, I don't see a problem. And actually, I think that would have been one of the more interesting things that happened last year was going in there and watching Dave Nonis and the management of the Leafs pitching why they didn't think this should be a suspension, and Shanahan and the hierarchy of the NHL saying whatever they were saying. That would have been something that we hadn't seen before and would have been interesting, and it didn't happen. So again, I think that's probably the league or maybe even the team in the league in concert saying we don't want to let them in and see behind the curtain, and that's what people want to see. They want to see things that they can't see every day.
Yeah. And I think, going the Behind the B, the Bruins version, I don't know if you guys ever seen it or not, but One of the first sort of episodes, it was in June, or it aired in September, but it took place in June during the off season, where they're sitting there and it's the Bruins' entire front office staff sitting in a room watching film on Tyler Seguin and saying we got to trade him. And that was like mind blowing because it was just like they're ripping this kid before they even traded him, saying all these things, and it's funny how it sort of changed perception of the Boston front office.
Yeah.
People thought that, people thought that the fans were the ones overvaluing toughness and intangibles and things like that. But then you started watching Jim Benning, and you're like, wow, this guy really hates like skill play. You're like, what is going on right now?
And he was a skill player when he was a player, which is a funny thing. But was this after they actually had traded Seguin? I mean, because I don't think if he was still there, that would have never seen the light of day.
Exactly, and this was the episode aired in September, but the filming took place in June during the Eastern Conference Finals against Pittsburgh. They're already saying we're going to trade him.
That's amazing, and to be fair to Seguin, it shouldn't have aired until he was traded. I mean, there is something about that to players too. Like that's why even though we'd love to see a behind the scenes of trade deadline day, we could never see it, right? Because of the players' names are mentioned, and there is something to that. But yeah, that's a good. I mean, that's very. Oh, Josh Rimmer is joining. Wow, look at. Yeah, so to me there is something definitely to that. I think that it's funny because we got different impressions of Dan Bylsma when you were talking about Dan Bylsma. I got the impression that Dan Bylsma was way too mellow of a coach when I watched it. I just felt like this guy is not an inspiring coach, and that was the impression I got. I'd been around Laviolette enough to kind of know how he was, but still you got to see a different side of things, and that's all good and fine. But there's something also that I'm kind of in a way proud of the NHL for. This sort of reminds me a little bit of when they said, screw you to ESPN. Like if there's something else here that we don't know about that HBO wanted, the NHL is now officially like self-confident enough to be able to say it's okay, we don't need you. Right. Which is, and there was always a feeling like with HBO, one thing that I kept saying, why would the NHL do like this? Is not in their character. It's like a friend dating a really hot girl, and you're like, why would you date her? She's totally controlling. Well, she's a hot girl, and I'll never get a hot girl. So your friend's saying, I'm going to go out with her. That's kind of what it felt like with the NHL and the HBO to me sometimes. And we've seen that, in the press box as well. When you get to the Stanley Cup playoffs and stuff like that, where suddenly like the 4 people from the Weather Channel have press seats and you're sitting somewhere else. The NHL tends to get enthralled with these hot chicks, as I like to say. And to me, this is a good sign that they didn't. I think if we don't know what the whole story is, but
yeah, I mean, okay my closing thought on it too is watch HBO 24/7 NFL training camp versus the 24/7 Winter Classic. Night and day. The training camp is so much more extensive, and it shows that HBO, I think, and America and their viewers as a whole, they like football way more than hockey, and that's we all know that. We all know that hockey is not the power sport in this country, and it might not be, and may never will be. We don't know, but it shows where their priorities were. So maybe the NHL, if they do want to focus their efforts towards their own version of it, will be even better. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be fine. So let's go to the rules. So then, but the NHL obviously wasn't happy about, in my opinion, the reaction, which was largely negative about this, because 24/7 was something different, and it was HBO, and sometimes you want your friend to go out with a hot chick because it's cool to say you have a friend who's going out with a hot girl, I guess. But this is is that how you feel, Mike?
Yes.
So anyway, the rule changes come about yesterday, right? And so suddenly, let's go through a couple of them. There, and I did a poll on HockeyBuzz too, which I think is kind of interesting and telling how people voted on this, because we had like 5,000 people vote on these different rule changes, and I'll give you what their results were. Mm-hmm. So the first one was the trapezoid, Rule 1.8, we'll call it. Goalkeeper's restricted area. The trapezoid will be expanded by 2 feet from the goalpost on both sides of the net. Mike?
I mean, it's a minor change. I think it helps the goaltenders who have the skating ability to go out of the net and handle the puck. I know Jonathan Bernier for the Leafs is a pretty decent puck handler. Guys like Mike Smith, it will be good for guys who are challenged. It's gonna, I think it's gonna hurt them, but I don't think it's gonna be any kind of big great change.
Yeah, what do you think, Ty?
Marty Brodeur just screamed, "What the hell?" from his opponent.
Exactly.
That's one of those things that it will help a guy like Smith and Bernier, like Mike said, and I think that we're gonna hit a point where they're gonna get rid of it again. I think eventually. I mean, little by little, it's gonna expand 2 feet, 2 feet, 2 feet. Then we go, just get rid of that thing. Why do we even have that anyway?
Exactly. It's so stupid. I mean, this feels like a rule you would make if you were playing a game of street hockey and there was a kid who was really good in goal at handling the puck, and like, you can't handle the puck, you've got to stay back. It's always felt like that to me. It's like, I'll tell you what I think the trapezoid should be used for, and this is my theory on the trapezoid. You just screw this whole thing about where goalies can handle the puck. They can handle the puck anywhere. That's perfectly fine. That's how it should be. That's how it's always been. I mean, there's nothing worse than watching, like a goalie wait for the puck to slowly inch its way over the line of the trapezoid, and that's ridiculous. The trapezoid should be where you can't hit the goalie. Keep the trapezoid, but that's where you can't check the goalie. Like, we used to have the crease, you couldn't hit the goalie in the crease, right? And I'm okay with, and then that that went away to basically you can't hit the goalie forever, any time, which is, you want to protect the goalies, right? But so make the trapezoid, the goalie goes behind the net. You can't body check a goalie. You can go after him, you can do things like that, but you can't check the goalie. But the goalie can handle the puck anywhere. But if he's outside that trapezoid, you can kill him. You can level him. You can do whatever you want to. And that, to me, let him handle the puck out there. But that would create more offense than the trapezoid has ever created, because the guy gets out there, it's more exciting. He's out there, he gets a chance to handle the puck. Josh, what are your thoughts on that concept?
Okay. Sorry.
That's okay. No, we'll go back.
I missed everything. My computer froze again. Hey, you guys remember that movie Office Space?
Yes.
I think it's Office Space. Yeah.
So your computer is the printer that they beat the crap out of, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Right,
So I missed everything because it.
Well, here, let me just say this while Josh is recovering from it looks like a major stroke.
Pretty much.
It's getting to the point now where the no man's land for the trapezoid in a couple years will be basically the size of a slice of pizza. And if that's the case, just get rid of it. Now the thing is, I remember the day, and I don't think the NHL wants free going at the goaltender willy nilly. I've seen hockey where Mike Palmateer, the old goalie for the Maple Leafs, got slammed by Danny Gare of the Sabres, in the corner, and that's the risk that you always take with goaltenders going out of the net. But I liked that. Not to say that I want goaltenders headhunted, but you have to make a conscious decision of whether you're going to come out of the net and handle the puck and the dangers with that. So I think that's part of the game that should be back in, but I don't think the NHL agrees with that.
It could, Ty.
I remember Dominik Hasek was one of the best at coming flying out of the net and pushing it back up ice, and I liked watching that. I think Marty was obviously great at it too. Turco was another one. These are guys that I think at the end of the day, it's such like a footnote. It's almost like, who cares? Let the goalies take the risk. If they want to do it, let them do it. I'm not saying let's truck them like Brian Miller, but let's.
Well, it's always hairy. It was exciting. It's like, this is what's happened. Okay, this is the whole lineage of the trapezoid in my mind. We get goalies who some goalies can handle the puck pretty well, but then Hextall comes around and Hextall just changes the game, right? So Hextall makes it so now goalies can handle the puck, and he's on the Flyers, so they don't make any rules. Marty Brodeur comes around, he can handle the puck, he's on the Devils. The Flyers are like, we got to change this after the lockout because Marty's been killing us for years, and they changed the rule. I'm convinced that Ed Snyder made this rule happen. And so they go through there and they change the rule, But when I was a kid, I was a goalie through this whole era, right? So when I was a kid, I couldn't handle the puck to save my life. But when Hextall suddenly Hextall's in there, I'm in high school, I'm playing goalie, and now suddenly everybody's passing the puck back to you as a goalie, expecting you to play it up the boards, and you're like, wait, whoa, I didn't learn how to do this, but I had to like practice shooting the puck as a goalie, and I got better. And then as I would play against other teams, there would be kids that were really good at it because they were watching it and they were learning it, and they were a couple of years younger than me, and they were learning how to shoot the puck out. And now So that to the point where like every goalie came in the NHL, it was a requirement. You had to be pretty good at handling the puck. I mean, unless you were incredible in goal, you had to at least have a component to your game that you could handle the puck. So you get like the Mike Smiths of the world and people like that who can handle the puck, and you've grown up playing in a game where the goalie handling the puck is part of the game. And then they whack that right away by putting the trapezoid in. And now when you watch youth goalies play and stuff like that, they're not handling the puck at all. So there's this whole it's actually gone back the other way, and I think that's bad because you actually took a skill out of the game.
Yeah.
That was there. I mean, it was something. It was different. And it was always exciting when a goalie's out of his net handling the puck in the corner. That's way more exciting than a goalie waiting for the puck to make it to the trapezoid to handle. I don't care how you say it. That's Josh, your thoughts?
Well, I was at I sound like a broken record now, and I don't know if that was brought up or not during my computer issues, but seeing Marc-Andre Fleury leave the net last year and playing the puck, that was exciting. So I like the trap. I think the players should be able to go out and play the puck. I don't like that they're not able to.
Yeah.
That bothers me a bit. I think goalies should be able to roam, and some guys obviously can handle the puck and some guys can't, and if you can't, work on it.
Yeah, and you should have to. I mean, so
Yeah.
in our poll, we had almost 5,000 people vote. 51% of the people liked the idea of expanding the trapezoid, and 25% hated it, and 22% said they were apathetic about it. So yay, apathy. Yeah, so that's my thought. But anyway, there you go. So the next rule was the new game misconduct penalty, Rule 23. A new game misconduct category will be created. On the seventh day, Gary Bettman created a new game misconduct penalty. Clipping, charging, elbowing, interference, kneeing, headbutting, and butt ending. Isn't that was a Tragically Hip album, wasn't it? Move from the general category into the same category as boarding and checking from behind, physical fouls, whereby a player who incurs two such misconducts in this category would now be automatically suspended for 1 game. Mike, can you explain this? Because I just read it and I'm still very confused by it myself. And
no, this was the least interesting and most misunderstood of the rule changes. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to make those fouls that they just listed, elbowing, interference, kneeing, fouls that will incur a 5 in a game, whereas before maybe they weren't as part of the rule something you could give 5 in a game to.
They would just call it something else and give him 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's very convoluted, and I don't really understand the reason for the clarification. But I mean, if you want to create a new category of penalty for a 5-minute major for these various things, be my guest. I mean, that's.
Ty, are you pretty much in that category?
Yeah, I mean, same boat, really. I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens to repeat offenders out there.
Yeah.
Who they take these penalties. Maybe it's not a 5, but it's more than a 2. What gets called now, and how does that equate out to suspensions? So I could see the gripe there from a player's point of view. If you feel it's a 2 and you're assessed a 5. Then you get an actual 5, and then you go, well, I'm suspended now, so, I'm a repeat offender, I'm going to be out for this many games.
Right.
Docked pay, guys like Rafi Torres can lose millions, by the end of it. So, I mean, we don't know. But
right, I agree with that. I mean, I get all of the penalties they threw in here: clipping, charging, elbowing, kneeing, headbutting, butt ending. Okay, fine. Move them into the categories boarding and checking, so they can get 5 in a game, but they also put interference in here, and I want to know the 5 in a game for interference. I want to know what that would, how you could possibly get 5 minutes in a game for interfering.
The shower on Pacioretty, that was called interference. So
that was called interference. That's right.
It's like the only time I was like, okay, well, I see how it's interference, but I've never seen a 5-minute for interference before. So
Matt Cook on Tyson Berry would be 5 minutes for interference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So okay. I guess it's possible. I think of interference in a different way, but 6% liked this rule, 18% hated it, and 15% probably didn't understand it. They were apathetic about it.
And I'd say about 90% of that 66% probably didn't understand what it meant.
Yeah, it just sounds like good. Now here's the most controversial of the day, and this one I like. Rule 24, the penalty shot rule, the spinorama, and I gotta love the fact that spinorama makes it into the hockey rule book, just the term in and of itself. They didn't try to actually quantify this. A player turning on his back foot and skating wreck, and they just went with. We all know what spinoramas are. Okay, the spinorama, as described in section 24.22, there is actually a rule. There is actually a description of the spinorama move. We need. I would like you to do a dramatic reading of that next Friday, Ty. A dramatic reading of the spinorama description. Will no longer be permitted either in a penalty shot situations or the shootout. So this was a tight one. 44% liked this, 45% hated it, and 10% were apathetic about it. This is basically the Mason Raymond rule, right? So that's why he does this a lot. This is when you're coming in on a breakaway, and you do the whole spin move. And when we were kids, this was really not allowed in a penalty shot. Like you had to keep moving the puck forward. This is not really keeping. It leaves way too much debate up. Josh, do you like this rule?
Not really. Not really.
You think we should be allowed to do spinoramas?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's entertaining. I mean, but to be honest with you, I hate the shootout. They should have just got rid of it, to be honest with you. Like, who cares? Like, I'm tired of the shootout. Those are crucial points, guys, and they're being wasted many times because of this shootout. I mean, look at the Devils. Look how much they probably hated the shootout last year. They couldn't even win in a shootout. I hate it, and I know a lot of players hate it too, and a lot of people, and a lot of fans. I would have just rather done away with the shootout altogether. If you're gonna keep the shootout, keep the spinorama in. At least it's entertaining.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. Maybe it's a goalie. I feel for the goalies. Maybe I'm feeling for the goalies a little too much here. Ty?
Fine.
For me, I understand the hating of the shootout. I do. But for me, there was nothing worse than going to a game as a kid and seeing a tie. That was the worst.
Yeah, I'm with you there, 100%.
Next day, hey, who won? Nobody. Everyone left. There's no one in this game. So, I mean, but going to the shootout, I think it's ridiculous that you're going to get rid of this move because it's the NHL. When they implemented the shootout, they say, let's show off these players' skills. Yeah. The players find a way to show off an immense amount of skill with the spinorama. I think it's an entertaining move. And they go, hey, that's too much skill. You can't do that. That's enough. You got to go in, shoot a wrist shot. So I don't know. That's just my opinion on it. I think that it's I think that they should have kept that.
To me, a lot of these rule changes are sort of a revenge of the traditionalists, because especially this one, because I mean, I'm an old street hockey goaltender, so yeah, I don't like the players like. I'm sure Mikhail Grabovski is very pissed off at what happened here, because he was a master of showering the goaltender in the face when he does the slide and spinorama and puts it in the net. And Mason Raymond, as you said, did the same thing. I wonder if they're going to outlaw what Linus Ullmark did, which he did the spinorama before he even entered the offensive zone. I don't know if it doesn't allow spinoramas of any kind. I mean, I don't understand why you would do it, but whatever. But I think the NHL is trying to make the shootout, a less common occurrence, and I think that taking this kind of like circus stuff out of it is going to eventually lead to the shootout going away.
Well, there's two ways to go with this, right? You either can go like to a standard, okay, this is a breakaway, you got to keep moving forward the whole time, this is like a penalty shot, or you just give them, like somebody brought up the other day, you give a player 8 seconds to do whatever the hell they want to do. You've got 8 seconds, you can go behind the net, you can take a rebound, you can do whatever you want to do for 8 seconds, and that's the other theory, like that, if you want to really go to the fun and exciting and skill thing, go there. Go to the fact, okay, this guy can now fire the puck wide and pick up his rebound on the other side, or do whatever he wants to do, and make that like something. Okay, you've got 8 seconds. But
so for 7 seconds, I can beat the goaltender unconscious with my stick and then put the puck in the open net.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, so to me, that this is a rule that's caught up in the middle, kind of somewhere hanging out there. So I think the spinorama, I hate taking skill out of the game as well. We can't have ties. Nope.
I don't mind.
They were the worst. I know you don't mind ties, but I'll do anything. But I mean, tie games are ridiculous. I've said many times, we won't bang this old horse, but there should be 3 points for a regulation win in the NHL, and if that was the case, we'd all be fine. That's the way you get rid of all this. If you want less overtimes, you want less shootouts, make it 3 points for a regulation win. Then you got it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, video goal judge. Rule 38. This will be the last one we'll be doing today, I believe. Yes. Let's see. Actually, if we're gonna do one more, what's a good one?
The diving embellishment one.
Yes, diving embellishment. Okay, here we go. Rule 64. The supplementary discipline penalties associated with Rule 643 will be revised to bring attention to and more seriously penalize players and teams who repeatedly dive and embellish in an attempt to draw penalties. Fines will be assessed to players and head coaches on a graduated scale outlined below, and here we go. The first one is a warning. Just got to buy my lunch next time. Number 2 is $2,000. Number 3 is $3,000, and this is all so far to the players. Number 4 is $4,000 to the players and $2,000 to the coach. Okay, so and then we go 5,000, 3,000, and then 5,000, 4,000, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. These rules, these are too low. I'm sorry. It's just like when you get up to your 8th diving offense, I'm sorry. At what point? I mean, I can see like staying under $5,000 for your first 3 diving offenses, but like when you're at your 8th one, come on, right? I mean, Ty, you agree?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, what does this matter? I mean, if you're making the minimum, you can dive 20 times and still only, 100,000. I mean, it's ridiculous. I think it's not going to stop guys from diving and trying to get ahead, trying to get their team on the power play, and some guys are really good at it. Benoit Pouliot is amazing at drawing penalties. Yeah. He's also been accused of being a diver before. Watching him for a year in Boston, you could definitely see that he did do some of that.
Yeah.
Guys like Brad Marchand as well. There are players that they have a tough time staying on their feet. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
But it's not going to deter them. I mean, the coaches can get fined $1,000 and they'll put them on the 3rd line instead of the 2nd line one night. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. That's not the coaches don't care. They're not going to pay these fines anyway. These fines will be paid by the team in all likelihood, some way, shape, or form. Even if it's just like, okay, we got dinner for the next 3 weeks. I mean, yeah, it's the issue. My issue with diving has always been this: that they're in the NHL, like you have good. How many times have you said this? A player skating down, and we'll use like. Milan Lucic is a good example. Like Milan Lucic has the puck. He's going down. Someone's holding him up, grabbing him, pulling him, and you keep saying to yourself, man, if Lucic just any other player would have gone down and a penalty would have been drawn there, but he doesn't go down. So there's that side of the other side of diving is, we used to see it with Lindros in Philly all the time. Like Leclerc would have people hanging all over him, and it's just like you. So, at what point is diving real and should a player actually, who loses the puck, finally after battling through and they go down to try to draw something, he could have gone down 10 minutes ago when he was going down the ice. It's like crazy to me, Mike.
Well, I mean, the thing is that the league has changed from remember back in the day they would issue these lists of registered divers, yes. and they would it was meant to embarrass. Now I think
the NHL's version of like of an office kitchen
right,
at work. Someone saying, "You clean up your mess. I'm not your mother."
Yeah, of getting whacked over the hand with a ruler. And actually, Paul Stewart wrote a blog for Hockey Buzz yesterday about the rule changes. An excellent blog, and he went into a lot of detail on the breakdown of them. And the thing is, the league fining players, for example, I'll name anybody on the Montreal Canadiens because they're a team of divers, or the Vancouver Canucks, or a guy like Nazem Kadri, who everybody in Toronto knows has a reputation of being a diver. Penalizing a guy who makes $2.9 million, $5,000 for his 8th dive, he'll pay that gladly if it gets the team a power play in the 3rd period to give them a win. So it is a joke. It is an absolute joke, and I'm sure that some players are going to wear these $5,000 fines as a badge of honor because they're doing all the utmost to get their team to win.
Yeah.
So either you penalize them $100,000 for a dive, or this is a sham.
Yeah, I mean, a 2-minute power play is probably worth $5,000.
Yeah, I mean, especially. You can't do a spinorama. You gotta dive. I mean, that's
Dive, right? The spinorama's gone.
This is job security for the NHL offices in Toronto, for the video review people at the big house in Toronto, because they're going to be painstakingly going through every minute of every video of every game to find divers.
Yeah.
Because this is revenue, you know.
I do want to touch base on this one other rule, the face-off rule, the change in face-off procedure, because this is something that I've been talking about for a while, and but the way they're doing this is just, I don't get it. I'm going to read it, and we're going to try to understand. The idea here is that teams often, when they would ice the puck, you know, and you get your face-off, you don't get time to change, right? You're not allowed to change, which is a great rule. I love that rule. That's been a great rule in the NHL. It's been fantastic. But now what teams will do is they'll throw their right winger in to take that defensive draw, and he'll get thrown out on purpose, and it gives him another 15, 10 seconds, whatever it is, and so there, and that's how. So they're trying to get away from that. That's what the idea is. They're trying to kill that, and I just thought that should just be. Maybe you assign somebody. You say your center has to take the face off, or what makes something. There's other ways of doing this, but this is to curb delay tactics on face-offs after icing infractions. In situations where the defending team is guilty of a face-off violation following an icing, the defending player who is initially lined up for the face-off will be given a warning, but will be required to remain in the circle. This just gives them more time. This absolutely goes the opposite way. So now he gets a warning, and then he gets thrown out. But then, and if he gets thrown out again, he gets technically a bench minor penalty, right?
Let me just say this, because the rule, as I understood it last year, if a player got booted out of the face-off circle, the second guy comes in and he was booted out, or he continued to try to unfairly win the face-off, that the other team would get a 2-minute delay of game penalty. I didn't see that once in probably 250 games that I watched last year. So why waste your breath writing this stuff?
Here's my idea. The second the offensive player gets to the face-off, the puck is dropped no matter what. And it does if the defense isn't lined up, if the defense isn't set up, there's no cheating. The second that offensive player gets to the face-off circle, the offensive center, the puck's dropped.
I think they should eliminate the drop, Ak. I think what they should do is just place the puck in the middle of the dot, have the two players put their sticks down on the white section of the face-off circle, and let them go. And let them go. And at that point, it's like, that's all you have to do. All the linesmen would be there to do is make sure that both sticks are on the ice, and then you let them go.
Yeah,
eliminate this crap.
You just put the puck down and it's a race for the puck.
It's like when everybody was playing street hockey. You had the puck, or you had the ball. You put it right on the spot. You did one. Remember you used to go with your sticks 1, 3.
Right.
Now you don't have to do 1, 2, 3.
I got a better idea, Mike. You install these giant chutes on the top of the roof, like they had in the old bubble hockey games. You drop the puck on one side, the puck rolls down slowly and falls through the hole, and then comes straight down. That'll solve everything. I would love to see it. I don't know, my old Bobby Hull hockey.
USSR, yes, I remember.
That was the one. You could just drop it down. It was just the rod hockey. You drop the puck down, this long chute, fell through the hole. Perfect. Yeah. Problem solved. All right. Ty, any thoughts on this face-off rule?
No, I'm still too focused on the spinorama, and I'm sad about it. Can't talk about it. No, this league is busy. They got big problems. Last year they tackled the tucking the jersey in rule, which has saved so many concussions. It's helped so many people. So you got the big stuff we're tackling here.
Yeah, and you can't be Wayne Gretzky anymore. You can't tuck in the right side of your. Come on. Gretzky always tucked in the right side of his jersey, right?
Yeah.
That was his rule. And my son, it's funny because my son is a really small kid, in soccer team. He's way smaller than all the other kids. And his jersey's huge on him. And I showed him before the last game, I'm like, you know what? Tuck in the right side of your shirt. And I'm like, this is why. Gretzky, he was too small when he started playing too, and he tucked in the right side of his shirt. Kept doing it until he was a pro. There you go.
You never want anybody to emulate Wayne Gretzky.
Nope.
There's always that one guy in beer league that wears 99, and you're like, oh, stop it. Wear a different number, please.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That was the problem when we were kids. The beer league guys who would put 99 on. There was always the other thing, the beer league, this is a funny topic, but the other beer league guy that's like everybody knows is the guy who played like junior somewhere or played college, like maybe Division III college hockey, is like way better than everybody else, but super fat and tired and drunk most of the time, and goes out there and plays defense and schools everybody. But you know, it's just like is just a horrible person, and it's like, you know, he's the guy who played in juniors. I must have every league I ever played in, there was one of these guys. It was crazy.
Yeah, they're the worst. They are the fun suckers of the league. They try to fight you like at some point.
Right.
Too.
Right, and they had this thing like I played with this, with Mike Bossy's nephew's best friend for 3 years in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
And because he spent way more time as a child practicing hockey than any of us practice, he's really good. But he's so fat and old and tired. I mean, anyway, I'm trying to get your mind off the spinorama, Ty. But we'll move on. That's all we have time for today. Thanks, Josh, for joining us.
Yeah. No problem.
We're going to send Josh a beer or two. It's all good.
Six-pack.
This is the text we get from Josh. Ready? I'm going to share this with the class, Josh, because this is too funny. Sorry, computer keeps freezing. Think it might be time to take old Yeller in the back of the house and shoot him. Worse, just got worse. Just spilled my green drink all over the floor. There you go.
Yeah, I got green stains all over my carpets.
It's better than me spilling my crab chowder soup right before the show the other day. That's worse.
Well,
all right.
Well, the worst part is I'm so angry at what has transpired today that I didn't realize I didn't put the lid back on my green drink and decided to give it a nice shake.
Fantastic. All right.
Yeah.
Get some rest over the weekend, Josh.
Oh, I need it.
All right, I just dropped something too. Here you go. Guys, remember, without the buzz, it's just hockey. Talk to you soon.